Hugh and Tobey team-up movie, shut up and take my money. I'm there for that. Hey everybody, Colton here, and in this one we have got a question from Trevor. Trevor writes, Colton, what do you think about this new report that Sony is interested in doing a Spider-Man and Wolverine movie? And which Spider-Man do you think it will be? I'm hoping it's Tobey Maguire, but Tom Holland would be cool too. All right. Thanks so much for the question, Trevor. And yeah, I saw that new report or rumor from My Time to Shine Hello saying that Sony is interested in a Spider-Man and Wolverine movie. In fact, I think he said that Sony and Marvel are both interested in doing one. So that's interesting. Lot to talk about. First, we'll talk about like if this is something that I'd personally be interested in. Of course, this is something I would personally be interested in. And we'll talk about which Spider-Man we'd like to see in this concept of an idea of a movie. But I think the more interesting conversation is going to be, one, why does Sony want this? And I want to talk about what I think is their sneaky plan to keep most of the box office of this idea of a movie. And I also want to talk about why, as cool as the idea might sound, I'm not so sure it would work, but let's break it all down. So when you say a Wolverine and Spider-Man movie, my go-to thought was also, oh, Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire, hell yes, sign me up. I've wanted this movie since I was 8 years old, but that's not the report. My Time to Shine has even responded to their own report questioning which Wolverine and Spider-Man it could be. So if it is a Hugh Jackman Wolverine, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie that they are wanting to do, yes, shut up and take my money. Do it right now. And I mean that. Do it now. Because if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? I mean, Avengers Doomsday comes out this year, and Secret Wars comes out the next year. And then the multiverse saga, it's over. So while I very, very much want to see Hugh Jackman stick around in the MCU as Wolverine and have more adventures like with Deadpool and do some X-Force movies and let the new X-Men, be the X-Men without Wolverine for a little while. Or hell, maybe have Daphne Keane in the X-23 role on that X-Men team, kind of serving as that Wolverine type role. But as for Spider-Man, after the Secret Wars reboot, I don't know that we see Tobey Maguire Spider-Man anymore. I mean, maybe there's a world where Sony is able to work out a deal with Marvel to do a Raimi Spider-Man 4. And I say work out a deal with Marvel because, well, yes, Sony does own the film rights to Spider-Man. They do have a contract with Marvel right now that prohibits Sony from doing just whatever they want with Spider-Man while they're sharing the character in the MCU. I won't get into all that here. I am thinking about doing a video explaining the details of the Spider-Man Sony Marvel deal, but actually John Campea just did one that I'm probably going to watch here soon. So I'll watch it and see if I even still need to do mine. Anyway, getting off topic. Once the multiverse saga is over and we have a new cohesive Marvel universe, you aren't going to be doing any more Spider crossovers, I wouldn't think. The days of Tobey and Andrew and Tom all returning as Spider-Man together, I think those days are over and we finally just focus on letting Tom be Spider-Man. Again, I could see an exception be made if they were like, hey, let's do a Raimi Spider-Man 4 that's its own offshoot thing and it's not like some multiverse story. Then that's cool. And hell, maybe do Amazing Spider-Man 3. I've always thought it might be kind of cool if Marvel and Sony could work it out that maybe Sony doesn't do Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies at the same time they're doing the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, but maybe had Andrew Garfield Spider-Man be in that Venom verse. I don't know. Then it gets kind of convoluted. You got two Spider-Mans going. I'm not crazy about that idea. Again, getting off topic. Anyway, if they wanted to do like a Raimi Spider-Man 4 or something, that's cool, but that's all assuming that Tobey's Spider-Man even survives Doomsday and Secret Wars, which I don't know that he does. I think he totally survives Doomsday. Like, I don't believe those rumors, and spoiler warning, by the way, if you don't want to hear this, but it's been everywhere. The rumors that Tobey dies at the beginning of Doomsday and that he's there with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, who also dies. I don't believe that report. I think maybe it's like a fake out, like, oh, did they die? But we know they didn't. But then in Secret Wars, I don't know, man. I mean, Tobey would be a great choice if they wanted to have like a really impactful death. killing off Tobey's Spider-Man, that's pretty impactful, and it's kind of a smart move because, I mean, he's already retired from that role once. It's kind of insane that he's even back playing the character, but we're getting this opportunity like in the Multiverse Saga. So he really is a great choice of character if you want to have that movie have this big moment where a key pivotal character who the audience loves is killed off. I think Tobey's that character. But okay, let's say maybe he does survive. He gets to go home and have his happy ever after in his universe. The multiverse is now saved and universes can't cross over anymore. How does Wolverine tie into that? I don't know, especially if they keep Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, in the MCU to do stuff with Deadpool. Now, here is a way around it. Maybe they kick Hugh Jackman's Wolverine out of the MCU, and maybe we see like this other Marvel universe where Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and like the original Fox era X-Men exist. And maybe the original like Fox era Fantastic Four and Daredevil, maybe we learn that that's one of the universes that is spawned off at the end of Secret Wars when we see Franklin like just throwing realities into existence. Maybe that OG Marvel universe gets its swan song and we get to see all of those original films that never really got to be a shared universe now be like a shared universe and get like that book ending. But there's lots of maybes here, right? We also need to consider the possibility though of the Spider-Man in this rumored or wanting to come into existence, perhaps Spider-Man and Wolverine movie. We need to consider the possibility that that Spider-Man would be Tom Holland. And if they do what I think they should do and make Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire leads of Secret Wars, and we get to see those two characters together rocking Doom shit and saving lives and stuff in Secret Wars, then that will scratch my 20-year itch of wanting to see those two specific versions of those characters portrayed by those actors on the big screen. So if we get that in Secret Wars, then maybe I'd be down for like a Spider-Man and Wolverine movie with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Who would be the Wolverine? Would it be Hugh Jackman's Wolverine? I don't know if I want to see that. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to see them interact, but can we just get a fucking Spider-Man movie? Can Tom get his own Spider-Man movie where he doesn't have an MCU character up his ass? Iron Man, Nick Fury, the other Spider-Man, Hulk, Punisher. Can dude get a movie? Well, let's talk about that because that's where I think the Sony of it all is going to come into play. Part of Sony's deal with Marvel is that Spider-Man appear in Avengers films. That's one of Marvel's big perks, is they get to have Spider-Man be in their movies. But one of Sony's big perks for going into this deal is they get to have MCU characters appear in Spider-Man films. That's Sony's perk, especially at the time when the deal was signed and the MCU was like gold standard and having Iron Man in your Spider-Man movie was like a big plus. But, you know, I think Sony, I don't think they're just looking to do a movie called like Spider-Man and Wolverine. I think they're looking to have Wolverine be their latest MCU pool, a big popular Marvel character that they don't have the rights to, but they get to have in their Spider-Man movie. I think that's what they're looking for because a movie called Spider-Man and Wolverine, a movie that stars those two characters as co-leads, Marvel is going to want half that box office as opposed to the 25% that they would normally get. And this would also mean that, yeah, Marvel would cover 50% of the budget as opposed to the usual 25% of the budget. But why would Sony want to do that rather than just doing a Spider-Man movie that's pretty much guaranteed to make $1 billion? I mean, what are they expecting a Spider-Man and Wolverine movie to make at the box office that just a standalone Spider-Man movie wouldn't make? Remember, the last Spider-Man movie made like $1.9 billion in the midst of a pandemic and not including China. It didn't get to go play in China. So maybe a Spider-Man Wolverine movie does like $1 billion, $1.5 billion, $1.6 billion. An R-rated Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, did $1.6 billion. So, or maybe it was $1.4 billion, something around there. So let's say $1.5 billion. Let's say a Spider-Man Wolverine movie makes $1.5 billion. Maybe Sony's thought is, hey, 50% of $1.5 billion is just as good as 75% of $1 billion that maybe you'd expect just a standalone Spider-Man movie to make. But I really don't think that's what Sony has in mind. I think they're looking for the standard 75-25 split that they do with Marvel, plus getting to have Wolverine in their movie and throw Wolverine and all the marketing and do all of that and likely make just as much money as the movie would make if it were called Spider-Man and Wolverine, and they would get to keep 75% of it. But then, is Marvel going to agree to all that? So I think that Sony probably would want Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Like, that's probably what they're pulling for, just like they had Downey's Iron Man. They had, Sam Jackson, Nick Fury. They're bringing in Ruffalo's Hulk. I think they're probably wanting Hugh Jackman's Wolverine to be in a Spider-Man movie. But for the love of God, I don't know that I want to see another movie where Tom is being mentored by an elder statesman of Marvel. No. Now, if they're interested in having a new MCU Wolverine brought into a Spider-Man movie, that could line up with all these theories that Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey and that Spider-Man Brand New Day is kind of a soft launch for the Mutant Saga. You're introducing your new post-Secret Wars X-Men in Brand New Day, perhaps, with Jean Grey, Sadie Sink. Maybe they have plans to be like, hey, and maybe Sony kind of knows that. Surely they would if she's playing Jean Grey. Sony knows she's playing Jean Grey. So, of course they know that. So maybe they're like, hey, maybe some Wolverine? Can we get some Wolverine in the next one? Maybe that's their play. But yeah, to sum up my thoughts, Hugh and Tobey team-up movie, shut up and take my money. I'm there for that. I hope Secret Wars gives us that, though. I want them to be the leads of Secret Wars, alongside, of course, like Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and RDJ. And if we get that in Secret Wars, I mean, I guess you could still do a team-up movie, but I'll be honest, I think if we get their team-up in Secret Wars, then I don't need a team-up movie, like another, like, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine team-up movie elsewhere. I just really kind of want more Deadpool and Wolverine, like rated R, X-Force, style movies or something. Now, as for Tom Holland, him doing a movie with a Hugh Jackman Wolverine, take it or leave it. I don't know. We have seen Spider-Man and Wolverine have some cool crossovers in the comics and in the animated shows. They've switched bodies at one point, which was interesting. But what's funny is I think I've actually heard rumors before, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a rumor that they were wanting to do like a Deadpool and Spider-Man movie and have that Spider-Man be Tom Holland's Spider-Man? I could 100% see Sony wanting that. Like, I mean, I understand why they want a Spider-Man and Wolverine movie, and I think for the same reason, they might be interested in a Spider-Man and Deadpool movie. Again, that's one of their perks of this deal, is having these big names from the Marvel Universe be in their Spider-Man films, and Deadpool and Wolverine are kind of the MCU's most, like, forefront popular characters right now. But a Deadpool and Spider-Man movie, I think Deadpool and Spider-Man are hard to cross over. They've done it before in the comics, they've done it in the cartoons, but if I had to pick, I think I want Tobey Spider-Man, Hugh Jackman Wolverine, significant role together in Secret Wars, and then I want more R-rated Deadpool and Wolverine stuff, and them just in their own corner of the MCU, and then let Tom Holland's Spider-Man do his thing. And when he does cross over, have it be with the Fantastic Four and the new X-Men. That's where I want to see Spider-Man hanging around. But hey, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much to Trevor for sending us in that question. All right.